Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, the Russians, as I said, this is what they do. When something happens, they come out and make a statement. Now the other guys are starting to say, "Oh no, that's not true. You don't have evidence. You don't have." The Russians don't immediately respond. I noticed this so many times. They don't immediately respond. They let the other guys empty their the clip or whatever they have, the magazine, and when they're empty, they don't have any more ammunition. That means they got, pants down, bent over. The Russians come and say, okay, here's the evidence. Boom, and they knock them out. So basically, they let you talk, dig their own holes, and after they dig their own holes, they think they're winning. Why? Because see, the Russians are not denying it. Keeping their mouth shut is an acceptance, is the confirmation of what we say is true. Why? They don't have the evidence. But the Russians do this. Go on, and then they come and smack you, finally knock you out, and then everybody else is going to be quiet. Nobody's going to say we were dumbasses. No. Why? Because they're dishonest. So what happened now? You know that IL-76 airplane allegedly, reportedly containing 64 or so Ukrainian POWs, total people who died in that missile attack with the Patriot system, according to the Russians. There were 74. So all these guys that died over there, supposedly they didn't die. There was no POWs. The Ukrainians and some Western medias and intelligent people claimed that's a false flag operation. Yes, the Russians might have shut it down, or maybe we did it, the Ukrainians, but definitely there were no POWs because there's no evidence. And since the Russians don't provide the evidence, what I told you, that means they confirm what we say. And they started, and then they clip, done. And now the Russians come and say, hey, here is the list of the people who died. Here is the list. Here are the people who you killed. And now everybody's like, oh, we're not going to talk about it anymore. It's going to be tossed out, even though they ate the same vomit for about what? A week already? Almost a week, 5, 6, 7 days, the same shit. Oh, you didn't kill them. That's blah, 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 blah. Because the Ukrainians claims and others, based on the pictures the Russians published with a downed airplane, there were no victims. There were not people scattered around, which I looked at the pictures. Some of them are blurred. I don't see like everywhere. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But I said, well, I don't know. Wait. Patience is a virtue still for some. For others, whatever. That's an oppressing notion, virtue or something. So what's going on here? The Russians come now and say, you know what? Let me show you the list of the victims we say you downed and you killed. Everybody's like, oh, no. This is in contrast. Remember this. Contrast with what the Ukrainians were talking about Bucha or Busha. Remember Bucha? The one in Kiev area? They say the Russians conducted, then it was a war crime and all that. They determined through their investigation and so on. But they wanted international investigators in the downing of the IL-76, which Putin said, yeah, let's get him and let's get him here. So we're going to show you this guy killed the POWs. Now the West and the Ukrainians are not, we don't want to hear about it. No, we don't want to hear it. Even Zelensky said, we want an international investigation conducted, which is great. Like the international investigation that you got with Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines, right? Nothing. It was just what? Denmark, Sweden, and a little bit of Germany, and that's it. Why? The obvious result of the investigation would be he did it. Oh, no, we can't say that one. They're the promoters of freedom and democracy. So Putin said, yeah, okay, Zelensky, I'm for it. Let's allow all the international organizations to come over here who wants to investigate, to look like they did in Katyn Forest. The Germans did in Katyn Forest in Poland, remember? They invited everybody, and for what, 50 years, still they said the Germans committed the war crime of Katyn Forest. But it was the Soviets. Oh, by the way, the Ukrainians were part of the Soviets. And this and that and those groups were also involved in that crime. Look at the commissars involved in the Katyn Forest massacre. You're going to find their names. You know exactly who they are. Well, politically very incorrect to get their names, okay? their real names. So what's going on here? Look at this little article, a video that I made right here on January 27th, 2024. Flight IL-76, Russian false flag operation, senior military officials, and it says supposed to be on board. Anyway, these guys are in this video. I think I made the claim where the Ukrainians said, well, that's not true. It was not. We didn't do it. Yes, we did it. Now the Russians come with this article, and I'm going to show it to you. Russia Today, 1st of February 2024. Today, all victims of Ukrainian POW plane crash identified. Investigators. Now, some people worked in investigation, and some people know how other people try to skew the investigation, temper the investigation. So, yeah, they can come with a list. How do you know that those people over there, do the Ukrainians have the list? Because remember, the Russians asked for the Bucha massacre list, and the Ukrainians did not give them. I forgot about that one. The Russians said, okay, give us the list. Who were killed over there in that horrible Bucha massacre? The Ukrainians did not provide a list since then, since 2022. Not even the United Nations. The Russians went to the United Nations, Lavrov, and submitted a request, formal request to the United Nations to ask the Ukrainians, give us the list of the people that died. The Ukrainians did not release the list. Why? Because the Russians are going to come and Al Capone is somewhere else. He's busy right now with Israel. So he's not going to come over, Red Rover. So again, these guys provide the list. Now, the list could be done by some that we just eliminate right now or died in our custody. You know what I mean? If the Ukrainians did not have the list beforehand, that people were transferred to identify, okay, this is the list that they gave us. Okay, these are the people that we identify, come and identify them. Then the Russians can put together a list of 60-some people, POWs, that were POWs that died in, or maybe right there, they don't care. Let's say they died in custody and they kept them in babab, and they say, okay, this right here, these guys, put them on the list, and these guys died, and they will bury those guys somewhere else. And nobody knew those guys were even POWs, or they will just capture them right now, or they just pick them. It's not hard to get a list of people who are dead, really dead, okay, and the Ukrainians don't know where they're at. And then put them on the list and say, this are the guys who were killed. You killed them, these guys. But actually they're, I don't know, 200 miles away, somewhere buried in a forest or burnt. You don't know that. So these things happen, my friends. So that's why, yeah, look at this. And it says, DNA testing and a review of documents have confirmed the death of 74 people, the investigative committee said. That was very fast. You remember how long these guys took them to figure out if Yevgeny Prigozhin was the one on the plane? I think a week or something, until they identified that, and then the finger that, anyway, had that little ring or whatever. I'm just saying. Russian investigators say they have identified the remains of all those who were on board of cargo plane carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war. The aircraft was shot down by Kiev's forces in Belgorod region last week with a Patriot missile, they say. Moscow has accused Ukraine of downing an IL-76 aircraft carrying 65 Ukrainian POWs, as well as 3 Russian troops and 6 crew members last Wednesday. The prisoners were being transported to the region for an exchange with Kiev. Russia has said that the plane was destroyed by 2 missiles fired from a US-made Patriot air defense system stationed on the other side of the border in Kharkov region. In a statement on Thursday, Russian investigative committee said that it had identified the remains of the deceased as part of the ongoing criminal case. It noted that it had found and recovered more than 670 body fragments in the area of the crash, as well as surviving personnel documents. Right here, they say this is the US-supplied missile shot down plane carrying Ukrainian POWs investigative video. Officials added that Moscow is taking the required samples of genetic material from Ukrainian POWs, which means it has the necessary information for the further investigation and identification. As a result, they said investigators were able to confirm that the remains indeed belonged to 63 Ukrainian captive, not the 63, some 65 Ukrainian captives, as well as Russian crew members and military personnel. The agency also released a heavily censored video showing its operative scoring through the snow-covered crash site. Investigators can be seen gathering evidence in new packages, with the rest of the clip showing what appear to be blood-stained body parts with conspicuous tattoos. Yeah, okay. Russia has condemned the downing of the plane terrorist act. Kiev has not claimed responsibility for the shooting down the Il-76, but has said that it was not informed by Moscow that they had to ensure air security over Belgorod region at the time. Russia insists that Kiev received all the relevant information. So this is one of the pictures over there that they showed. And the Ukraine says, see, there's no bodies over there. That shows there was no... Well, okay, you see how... I don't know. I can't tell you. I've never been to a crash site. I can't tell you. I've seen pictures, but I saw this guy coming down. If he's shot in the air coming down and I don't know, it exploded, I have no idea. I can't tell you. Let the investigators do their job. And if they're going to be foreign investigators, that would be great. That would be great. And make sure you videotape everything. The problem is these guys had a week. The Russians had a week to gather information. What I'm saying is be skeptical. I'm not denying. Let me just. This seems like this is the video. I'm not denying the truthfulness, the verity, well, the reality of that, the statements. I'm just, just be patient and be skeptical. There's nothing that shows. Oh, this is a tattoo. Another tattoo. I don't know, my friends. I mean, nothing, you see it's all blurry and no, as I said, I'm not disputing that, but anyway, this is what the Russians said, and as I said, they provide now the evidence. Now, are they going to allow other people to look at the evidence when they already collected it, or the process? The process will work better. Like right now, having some people come over there from Western media and have them do this, not the Russians doing it. That would bring credibility. The problem is, it's a war. They all lie and they all turn. The fact is that was down by someone. But if you go like this, a lot of things that the Ukrainians are claiming that happened in Ukraine by the Russian attacks, you can say the same thing. Well, no, actually it was the Ukrainians shooting themselves, saying, hey, see, that kindergarten was blown up by the Russians. How would you know that? The media will tell you, no, it was the Russians. The Americans will tell you, no, actually it was this missile going like this and coming back. No, they want to tell you that. Why? They want to fight the Russians, not these guys. Do you think that doesn't happen? Okay, go around the block a few times or halfway, and you're going to realize how things work in real life, especially in a war. It's kill or be killed. That's what it is in a war. What are you talking about? This guy will make up wine out of water. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.